See Aintrazi on the left. Invitational champion with Tron 2 years ago, also a former U.S. Nationals champion. Dylan Donegan, much younger, got his first invitational win the same year as Ollie, got in just at the last second.
Casting some young pyromancers was Donegan.
Yeah, that is the token, the elemental token. Dylan on a 6-card hand this game. He's on the draw as players trade lands to start. No white mana yet for Ollie, but he'll fix that with Inspiring Vantage. So Ryan, I know you play a lot of blue-red. What are the players looking to do here?
Make a bunch of land drops.
All right.
Cast Glimmer of Genius starting at around turn 4. Pull ahead on cards, leverage Torrential Gearhulk, and if you're lucky, sneak in a combo kill.
So in that part, this feels a lot like a control mirror. If you said land drops are all that matters. But it's not exactly a control mirror, right? Because they have this combo finish.
Frequently in actual pure control mirrors, there's going to be windows where you want to sneak in a sorcery speed Glimmer of Genius to pull ahead on cards. That's much more of a liability with an active 2-card combo.
Both players trying to close with Torrential Gearhulks. Dylan plays 3 to just 2 from Ollie. Other thing to note, Ollie with 3 copies of Spell Queller in his deck. Players just continue to trade lands, though. No one missing their land drops yet. You see Ollie has options. He does have Saheeli Rai. Looks like he even has Felidar Guardian. Not going to play either of those for a while. Just wants lands.
And Ollie has a Harness Lightning in his hand. Until you're able to produce an Aether Hub or resolve a Glimmer of Genius, that's not enough energy to deal with Felidar Guardian.
Right, he does have to have a reserve built. Kind of like, much like the one Dylan has.
Right.
Another Harness Lightning for Ollie. I do like what he has as he plays land 6. He has done nothing but make land drops this game.
Yep.
Is there a point you think where, I know land drops matter the most. Could Ollie try to sneak in, say like play a Saheeli Rai here? Something like that. He still has enough mana, he could fight over it or not.
Yeah, it's totally reasonable.
And he's going to do that waiting till 6 lands. If this works, if this is on the board, that's a lot of pressure on Dylan's mana for the following turns.
Yes. His deck is very capable of playing the game on the end step, but this puts a lot more pressure. Ollie can combo off a lot more easily when he already has a Planeswalker in play.
+1, he scries to the bottom. So now, with the Saheeli in play, Ollie's going to get a lot of advantage. You see Dylan just making land 6. So both players untap with all their lands. It was a small risk from Ollie, but this looks like it'll pay off.
And as long as you have a counterspell or some way to interact with the combo, it's not even a risk if you don't fight over the Saheeli. If Donegan just counters it, that's kind of fine.
So the scry ones could add up, though, right?
Yes. Not to the extent where Ollie would try to fight that counter war and just potentially die to the combo, but to the extent where it makes a lot of sense to main phase the Saheeli anyway.
All right, Dylan's going to go for a play on end step to try to Torrential Gearhulk and anticipate, but Ollie will have none of that. Void Shatter takes care of the robot. And if Dylan's going for that kind of play, that shows that he feels like he's behind.
He wanted to get in his hit on the window where the Gearhulk could cleanly attack the Saheeli.
There's just no way that was happening, though, right? Like, Ollie had 5 cards.
Right. It was a bit of a desperation maneuver.
Saheeli Rai for Donegan. This will tap him low. There's a danger of Felidar Guardian plus negate.
He's at the range where he could have Guardian plus Void Shatter, too.
Yeah, that Dylan's taking a risk by making this play.
If it works out, though, and he gets to untap himself, now both players are in an even playing field with regard to needing to respect the combo.
7th land from Dylan. What I do like, he has not missed a land drop either, keeping pace with Ollie despite the mulligan.
One thing, though, is he's keeping up on lands, but he's pretty light on cards in hand.
Right, Dylan has 4 in hand. It's Nahiri, Harnessed Lightning, Glimmer, and then land 8. So for 4 cards, that's not bad.
Right. Should he be able to resolve Glimmer, that's a big game.
Both the Saheelis keeping the other one in check. Ollie's hand, if we want to go over there, 2 Harnessed Lightnings, a Fumigate, a Torrential Gearhulk, and a Felidar Guardian. Dylan will go for Glimmer. This isn't a chance for Ollie to get aggressive, but he probably can't, right? He can't really Gear Hulk a Void Shatter, and that's because Ollie actually was the first player to miss a land drop that turn.
If you Gear Hulk Void Shatter, you're just dead to Felidar Guardian.
Right, so because of that, Dylan gets to draw 2. And now the Saheeli War continues. Dylan gets to capitalize on that Glimmer. And you see Nahiri in Dylan Donegan's hand. That's a 1-of in his main deck, and it's a whereas Ollie actually has 2 of them. 8th land, but just a pass for Dylan. Each player seems, now that the Saheelis are on both sides, each player's really respecting the opponent's ability just to play Felidar Guardian and protect it.
Also a lot of respect for the fact that either player could just have a torrential Gear Hulk at any point in time. Once that's true, you really need to minimize how proactive you're being. You don't want to get blown out by a Gear Hulk.
Right, I mean, Ollie, end step Gear Hulk. So Dylan needs to be able to fight over this, and then also maybe be able to fight over a Felidar Guardian next turn and a counterspell.
And what's nice about this window for Ollie is Donegan does not currently have a counterspell in his graveyard, so he couldn't Gear Hulk and counter the Gear Hulk. He has to just have a counterspell in his hand.
It's interesting, right? This Gear Hulk doesn't have any targets. Ollie's just playing a flash 5/6.
Right.
And Dylan still might counter. He will anticipate with Gear Hulk on the stack.
He already has Disallow in hand. Anticipating in response seems to be tapping a little bit low.
Yeah. Can he let the 5/6 resolve? He could, I guess, Harnessed Lightning it away.
Yeah, I mean, there's no targets.
And that's what he'll do. He'll let it resolve and just use Harnessed Lightning. Seems like a really good conversion for Dylan. But there is that risk you talked about. Now that Dylan is out of energy, his Harnessed Lightning doesn't actually answer Guardian.
Right.
Does Ollie go for it then? Not really. He doesn't have... Ollie's hand is Fumigate, Lightning, Lightning, Guardian, and Glimmer of Genius. So he has no backup, right? There's no protection. And I just want to say it again, Ollie was the first player to miss a land drop, and it looks like, unless he main phases this Glimmer, he's going to miss again.
If he had 8 mana, he has the ability to Guardian, and if it gets countered, he leaves up double Harness Lightning for a potential combo out of Donegan. Of course, he needs to cast both because he still has no energy.
Yeah. And I do like how Donegan is playing this game. I think he's been playing from behind. Donegan has taken the lead now.
A potential play that Aintrazi has access to is main-facing Glimmer. If it resolves and he finds another untapped land, then he has 2 Harness Lightnings that can break up the Guardian. It's a pretty high-risk play, though.
Ollie says go. He's not going to go ahead and main phase the Glimmer. Dylan, anticipate on end step. Some great options here, a Disallow or a Torrential Gear Hulk. He'd love to have both.
Right.
On this board, he has Glimmer in his yard, so I think he wants Gear Hulk.
This is kind of a both-either situation.
Yeah, it's hard to do this one wrong.
He doesn't... He needs another land to Gear Hulk plus Disallow, which is a point in favor of taking the Disallow.
Yeah, I guess if he takes Disallow, he could maybe then have the fight be over the Nahiri that's already in his hand. Right? Nahiri eventually finds Guardian.
Nahiri can also find Gear Hulk if that's what you're into.
Didn't get a great glimpse at the one he took. We'll see in a second as Dylan continues to scry. He's +1 on lands at the moment. And says go. Ollie end step is going to Glimmer. Dylan, not even a second thought lets that resolve.
Couple lands for Aintrazi.
Dylan missed a land here too, so... And at this point, I guess they still do want lands if they're really trying to fight counter wars.
And Ollie put both lands on the bottom, picked up a negate. There's already a Saheeli on the table, but it helps him fight a counter war if one should start.
Yeah, I mean, if he needs to, say, pull the trigger on his own Felidar Guardian, he'll really appreciate having that negate.
It also backs up these Harness Lightnings. He now has energy in his reserve, so he can break up the combo that way.
Yeah, Glimmer makes 2. 2 more lands for Ollie. Those are his... Now, the Glimmer plus the pickup for the turn means he'll continue to develop his mana. An interesting game here. Both players managing to get Saheeli Rai down. Neither deck particularly good at not hitting a Planeswalker off the board. And so now the fight Yeah, it does feel like a control mirror in a lot of ways. Except it's a control mirror where both players have a 1/4 that wins the game. It's really, it's really weird. Ali says go. Now Dylan's going to make another aggressive play. He's going to end step a Torrential Gearhulk. He tried this earlier, and that got hit by a disallow. Or a Void Shatter.
This window, the Gearhulk is a lot better, though. He already has Saheeli in play. He's got a disallow in his hand. If Ali fights over this, could just die on Dylan's turn.
Yeah, there's a Glimmer in Dylan's graveyard, so it's really strong.
If he doesn't fight over this, his Gearhulk can just attack Ali's Saheeli.
Well, Ali has 6 cards, but we look at what they are. Fumigate, 2 Harness Lightnings, land, negate, Felidar Guardian. Ali is just caught without an answer to this. See, his answer is, this is a 4-for-1. Ali spends a Harness Lightning to trade with Gearhulk, and then I guess 3-for-1. Dylan's going to get to just cast Glimmer. That's pretty gross.
Classic players. Your parents around.
And in taking care of the Guardian, Ali uses up all his energy, which maybe leaves him even in range of getting Felidar Guardian.
Yeah, his other Harness Lightning can no longer break up a Felidar Guardian.
Yeah. And Dylan gets, unlike the fight over Ali's end step Gearhulk, which had no targets, Dylan's end step Gearhulk gets a Glimmer of Genius.
And
he can't negate here, right? There's just that's too risky. Ali has to let Dylan draw cards.
Dylan has been playing the game very conservatively. So part of the argument for going for the Harness Lightning here is you feel like Dylan's just not going to go for the combo unless he has it 100% rolled up. So that makes a lot of sense.
I like a dexterity play from Dylan. Accidentally shows the card he was scrying to the bottom. Harness Lightning. Or maybe Dylan's just really next level, and the card he put on top was another Harness Lightning, and that's just then he's truly a master. They'll never expect it. Dylan with a looks like 7-card hand. He's up a lot of cards on Ali. He doesn't have the land drop though. What's interesting is he has 2 Felidar Guardians. At some point, Dylan could just try for a Felidar Guardian. The danger is that he'd be tapping low.
So if the Guardian resolves, then he gets to blink a land, and then he would have 5 untapped lands for negate plus disallow.
It's not horrible. I kind of trust Dylan on this one. It looks like he wants more lands in play before going for that.
If he just already has the 9th land, then he can actually fight the war over the Guardian. That's a lot more comfortable of a spot.
Yeah. At some point, Dylan may want to be aggressive, though, right? If all his card advantage is in the form of Felidar Guardians and he's just never casting them, then he's not really capitalizing on his cards. He's not forcing trades.
You know, he's been scrying a lot with the Saheeli, and that's not looking like it's going to go anywhere.
I'm going to stop you here because we have our first big fight. Ali, feeling some pressure, is going to go for Felidar Guardian. He has a negate to back it up, and it looks like another Saheeli in his hand to back it up. But Dylan's forced to fight now. Disallow on the Felidar Guardian is the first play. And now we see how far Ali wants to fight. The farther he fights here, the bigger the risk that Ali loses on the swing back.
Yep.
Negate from Ali, negate from Dylan immediately. And Ryan, this feels too aggressive by Ali right now. Plays a land, says go.
He was posturing like he had another piece of an interaction, but Donegan's not going to buy that.
Well, he just traded a lot of his main phase mana. And see, look, now Dylan says, you're at 2 mana? Sure, I have Disallow in my hand. I'm going to play Felidar Guardian. I'm going to, exile the Ether Hub, 5 mana up. He's going to go for the combo, -2 on the Guardian. Dylan has 1 or maybe 2 counterspells to back it up.
He also just has another Guardian.
Yeah.
The Saheeli is on 2, but you just blink it, and he could go for it again just by casting Guardian.
All right. Just to be clear, we're figuring out what exactly is happening here. So Felidar Guardian did blink a land. We'll let you know when we know what's up here.
Yeah, so Ali has Harness Lightning in his hand. And he's, Dylan's moving a little bit fast. He's just trying to find the spot where he wants priority to cast this spell.
As soon as he finds anything, though, right?
Yeah, he has no energy in his reserve as far as I know.
Okay, there's another turn here, and Saheeli's at 4, so I think Dylan plussed Saheeli. We'll get a confirmation here. And I'm not even...
Oh, he
plussed at the beginning of the turn.
And then he blinked the land, not the Saheeli.
Oh, yeah, he started the turn by plussing Saheeli. Right.
Okay, there
And
we
he
are.
blinked a land. So Dylan, yeah, you see him tapping himself in the head there. I'm like, no, don't blink the land. You had the win. Ali had 2 mana, and yet Dylan had disallow. And now he's gonna fumigate away the Guardian. A misstep by Donegan. Now Ali still taps down to 4, so this might be okay. Dylan has another Guardian.
He's got backup Guardian, still has disallow.
And Ali just all in. Yep, Felidar Guardian. Nope, Dylan disallows it. Shows he has another Felidar Guardian. This time he's not going to screw it up, and Dylan takes the first game.
Slight misstep, but he had a backup.
So Dylan Donegan taking the first game. And I know, you sometimes see those tactical errors, especially in a game where there's so many, like, you get so focused on the macro of the game, like when am I going to go for it? When am I not going to go for it? Like, what's my general role? That, like, sometimes you, like, miss the basic mechanic part, right?
Think about these blue mirrors. The game goes so long. There's a lot of important decisions. When you feel like you're navigating it very well and the game is getting close to a resolution, your adrenaline really starts to pump. Yeah,
so I understand that Dylan missed the micro there at the end and gave Ali an extra turn. But what I do want to say is on that game, I think Dylan firmly had control of the macro play.
Yes.
Like, when he played, he started out actually just behind. He was down a card on the mulligan. Ali got the Saheeli first. Dylan, I think through knowing his role better, kind of evened out and then actually got ahead. Mm-hmm. And Ali going for that combo, that looked really bad.
Yes, that gave Donegan the window that he needed to close the game.
Right. So Ali, I think he goes for it because he has nothing, because he knows he's losing. And at some point he says, well, if you can start losing by enough, the right play is just to jam and hope your opponent doesn't have it. It's possible that with the way Dylan was playing, Ali could have kind of, faked it till he actually had real cards, like postured like he had something, and Dylan might have respected.
Dylan was playing the game in the way where it suggested he was not going to combo until it was a lock, much the way that we saw Kevin Jones playing the game earlier in the day. Against those players, just kind of hanging around and doing nothing can dissuade them from killing you even when they can.
All right, so I do want to look at the sideboards. We talked about the possibility to board out something like a combo. Spell Quellers are in Ali's main. They're in Dylan's board. I kind of just want to talk about both these at the same time. Spell Queller, yes or no here?
I think it's a no. You're going to be leaving in Harness Lightning anyway. Counterspell that dies to a removal spell is a bit of a liability.
I agree. Not too much. Dispels and Negates, I assume, are a yes. What I want to talk about is additional copies of Nahiri. Both players have them. And cards like Elder Deep Fiend.
Elder Deep Fiend is pretty good at tapping your opponent down and being able to win the counter war on the following turn. I like that one a good amount. Even if you're just casting it for 8, it can be pretty effective in the matchup. And Planeswalkers generally be good. If you're able to cast Nahiri on turn 4, you force some action. Either your opponent has a counterspell or they don't. And if they don't, you can pull pretty far ahead. Yeah,
so it's interesting. Ali has these Deep Fiends, but where Dylan's advantages, and I think Dylan, the way he played it, I like his setup more, is Dylan doesn't have Deep Fiends. Instead, he just has 1 more Negate and 2 more Dispels. And I wonder if that's where you want to be.
If you're able to combo more assuredly with less mana, you can really steal some games.
Right. Players going to go toward game number 2. Now, one thing that was interesting in these players was their management of energy, because Harness Lightning doesn't actually kill Felidar Guardian. There's like this, you had to keep 1 energy around.
Yep.
I like seeing that play. Of course, both players, Invitational champions, playing against each other, using the art of a 3rd Invitational champion. That's Jacob Baugh. He won the last Invitational last year. Now you can get his likeness on your token. This is the energy token that Jacob chose. He won the tournament with the Aetherworks Marvel deck and picked this one. This is now being given away for all of Season 1, so any Open or Classic between now and June, you'll get one of these. And if you can't make it out, these are coming in orders from StarCityGames.com. So this one, definitely going to want to get it, especially as we're in Kaladesh.
Drop that Spirit Bomb. Dragon Ball Z homage here.
Yeah, a huge anime fan is Jacob Baugh.
As we discussed yesterday, the polar bears are very significant.
Just he likes bears.
Yeah.
Great.
Bears are cool. Polar bears have a lot of energy.
It's interesting. Ali has these 8 drops versus Dylan's additional counter spells, and I said I'd like Dylan's setup more. That might not be right. I just want counter spells to be better. Sometimes it actually is better just to jam more threats.
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it.
On the topic of jamming more threats,
great.
Ali does have Spell Queller in post sideboard.
Interesting. Players just trading lands right now. And Ali going to go for a flash 2/3. And that's interesting. You see he draws Elder Deep Fiend as well. there's not too much to pressure here, right? It's either 2 damage a turn or chipping at a possible Saheelirai.
Yeah, it can give you a discounted Deep Fiend.
See Dylan setup, lands 4, 5, 6, Gear Hulk, Nahiri. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan down to 18 off Spellcaller. Ollie's hand, Elder Deep Fiend, negate. One thing is because Ollie has all these creatures, these Quellers, these Deep Fiends, he's more liable to just be caught without an answer in the matchup.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Maybe Dylan jams Nahiri here.
If he goes for Nahiri, though, and targets the Queller, a Deep Fiend can just come down in response.
Yeah, I think Ollie may also have a negate. Dylan's going to go for Nahiri. Yeah, negate. Ollie's hand's actually pretty good. He has negate, Deep Fiend, and Nahiri of his own. He could do a lot.
I'm more on board with Deep Fiend than negate here.
Lets it get exiled.
Nope.
Nope, just kidding. He lets it get targeted. How about that? Yeah, and then he taps the Nahiri. Yeah.
Take that.
And retaps some of Dylan's lands. And this is significant. Ollie just got a 5/6 on turn 4.
Yeah.
Had to use his energy to do it, but I guess to attack down Nahiri. Planeswalker gone. And Ollie might just become very mid-range here. He could leave up counterspells or he could just jam his own Nahiri into Dylan's tapped mana.
Not thinking that Elder Deep Fiend was on Donegan's radar there.
No. And Ollie just, I like this. Instead of playing the control mirror route, Ollie's going more mid-range.
Yep, he just got a different deck going here.
Discards second Spell Queller, draws. He does have Dispel up as well. And all of Dylan's removal is instant speed.
5/6 also just pretty tough to deal with in general.
Yeah, you go back to Donegan. You know, last turn Dylan cast a Nahiri into a Spell Queller. Things have taken. You just look at how the board has changed since then.
Yes. Yeah, Donegan not liking his options here.
And this fits for the players too. That Ollie boards into a more mid-range game plan. A lot of his decks that you see Ollie be so successful with are big mana strategies, things where he goes up to 8 on the curve, plays Planeswalkers, things like that. Mm-hmm. Needle Spires for Dylan will hit Nahiri down to 2. That's it. And you see Ollie, once we got game 1, when it was all about instants, it was kind of Dylan's game, but now Ollie's doing Ollie things. Mm-hmm. He is way more comfortable here, and it looks like, he's winning this game right now.
Yes. That Nahiri activation, that was a huge turning point for this game. It made a lot of sense when Donegan made the play. Landing a Planeswalker, dealing with the threat.
Trading with a negate would have been fine. He was fine with what he thought all the outcomes were. He was fine with any of them.
Yes.
He just didn't know that this was one of them.
Right.
Land drops Dylan down to 8 off this Elder Deep Fiend. 6 lands in play. He does have a Gear Hulks in hand, but nothing in the graveyard. As Ollie continues to pressure with the Nahiri, now discarding Harness Lightning.
Yeah, he's already controlling 2 very powerful permanents to Donegan's 6 lands.
Yeah, and look, you see Donegan's hand of Disallow, lands, Felidar Guardian, Torrential Gear Hulk. This is great in a control mirror, but it's not good against a mid-range deck. He'll try to flash in a 5/6 on the end step, get a blocker that way.
So when you cast a Snapcaster Mage and flashback no spells, you call it an Ambush Viper. What do you call a Torrential Gear Hulk that doesn't cast any spells?
What is it, like Havenwood Worm? Isn't that a 5/6 flash? I don't think it costs 6, but we're close.
Costs 7.
Cost 7? That's the best I got. I was 1 mana away.
Yeah. You ever Mystical Teachings for that card?
No.
It's nice.
No, just Mystical Teachings for another Mystical Teaching. Why would I get a creature?
You're only allowed to put 1 in your cube.
Oh, we're playing cube. Okay. If I have to get a creature, Teferi's okay.
Sure.
I like that guy. So the Gear Hulk resolves. It's going to attack at Nahiri on Dylan's turn. But Ollie...
So Ollie has a Gear Hulk of his own and a Harness Lightning in his graveyard.
Yeah, but that's not going to resolve. Dylan does have counterspells, and a lot of them.
Right. And the Nahiri sticks around anyway, so this is fine.
Boom. Why are you mystical teachings for this guy? Why are we playing green in our teachings deck?
Well, it's a popper cube.
Ugh. Ugh. It's close.
It's sweet. It's sweet.
All right. We need a 5/6 flash for 6 in blue. I'm sure there's.
You don't always draft Sprout Swarm.
So Nahiri goes down to 1. Ollie bumps it up to 2 past the turn. Dylan, okay, fine. We can play mid-range. Dylan can do that too. He's going to jam another Gear Hulk.
Right, so this game is going to be about 5/6s. Well, I got some of those too.
Yeah. All right. We're playing Ollie's game now. Let's play more. Let's play more guys. This card is, and it resolves. Dylan untaps. Okay, he's somewhat. Yeah. Swing them both at Nahiri. Here's. He will get the Planeswalker off the board this way. And he has the counter spells to back this up. Some flexible game. I like the flexible gameplay here by Dylan.
Yeah.
This is not how he sculpted the game. But when he realized what it was about, he adapted.
Yeah, this has been really well sequenced.
Torrential Gearhulk by Ollie. That, no, absolutely not.
Nope.
Disallows that. And Nahiri's down. And Felidar Guardian blinking a Gearhulk, giving nothing flashback.
Well, you got to block this Deep Fiend. Donegan is at 8.
Yeah, and there's a Needle Spires. Is there a creature land? No, Ollie doesn't have a creature land, so it's not dead. But you don't really want to go to 3 anyway.
Right.
Then you have to worry about embarrassing things like Saheeli killing you.
It's like a backup Nahiri in Ollie's hand.
And that can take care of a 5/6. And it will. No, it'll discard or negate. Now, Ryan, if this game's about creatures now, I'm somewhat surprised that didn't kill a Gearhulk.
Yes. Ollie is a little flush with negate. He has another copy of negate in his hand.
I understand wanting to get rid of negate. I'm down for that.
But he's just looking for a removal spell for Gearhulk, I'm pretty sure.
We did have one. We go back over to Donegan.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I'm not sure that I understand plussing there.
Because now Dylan just for free gets the Nahiri, right? There's a swing with all 3 creatures. Ollie can only block 1. Everything's going at Nahiri.
And I'm pretty sure that Donegan has another Felidar Guardian to untap a Torrential Gearhulk.
Of course he does. Just has it all. Just give your guy vigilance. So Ollie lets the Planeswalker die. He blocks the Felidar Guardian. And now plays another Guardian. This is going to be the 4th enter the battlefield trigger on Torrential Gearhulk. And Dylan has not flashed back a single card. Just none. We're just playing some numbers. Just stats.
Looks a little rough around the edges.
Stats. Look, I like 5/6s for 6. And I like playing 1/4s that give him vigilance. And Ollie's going to Void Shatter the Guardian. That's also a win for Dylan. He'll go to 3, or he'll lose his Fumarole or his Needle Spires. This is fine.
So Ollie's tapping low here.
He's countering a 1/4.
Ollie previously discarded negate. That's a little bit of a tell that his hand is counter heavy. So if Donegan has a counter, it's likely that it's going to be ineffective on later turns when Ollie has access to more mana.
Okay, so use it.
Or lose it. I don't know.
Well, but doesn't Donegan have the initiative here, right? If Donegan wants to make it to stop the race, he gets to, doesn't he?
Sure.
He has 2 more creature lands. He has 1 more 5/6, which is apparently what this game's about. Yeah, he lets it get countered.
Yeah, and it wasn't a huge spell to fight over either way. I think there was if he has a counter spell, there was a significant argument to fight over it. This play is totally fine though.
Dylan down to 3.
And it does force Aintrazi to have some other spell and that counter spell backup to make it effective anyway. Also, Dylan could top deck another counter spell and then suddenly he's good again.
Needle Spires and 1 Gearhulk attacking. Ollie's hand a negate and another blue card. Yeah, can't stop that. He takes 9, goes to 11. Untaps here. A little concerned about Dylan only leaving back 1 blocker. If Ollie's hand is full of counter spells.
It's tough to deal with that 5/6 though.
You're right.
He needs something in the order of double Harness Lightning.
And Ollie passes. Dylan, just such a quick untap. He knows exactly what he wants to do right now. You can just see him playing with confidence. Oath of Jace. Yeah, Ollie could negate. Sure, he's fine trading. Draw 3, discard 2. Land, Saheeli. Seems great for Dylan. Discards 2 lands. Still nothing in the graveyard for Torrential Gearhulks.
Aintrazi down to 11, though.
Well,
just using Saheeli to make a 5/6 attacker seems pretty nice.
Yeah, well, the danger here, if you're Dylan, you have to be aware of, right, is that Ollie has 8 mana now, and you have to be concerned about Deep Fiend just killing you.
Right. Just not much in the way around that, though.
Disallow would be your play, right?
Right.
You'd have to disallow the tap trigger.
Right.
I don't like this, but I mean, it would work.
I like trying to close this game as soon as possible.
Yeah, Saheeli Rai, Dylan will play. We'll go ahead and cast her. I guess if Ollie has Deep Fiend plus Negate, Dylan does not have much of a defense.
Right.
And Ollie might. Negate on Saheeli Rai. Dispel on Negate. Does Ollie have another? It's another Negate here, but wait, does Ollie have a Deep Fiend? Well, I guess he can still make that play. Dylan plays his last card, says go. Yeah, Ollie's going to go for the win. Emerge, Deep Fiend, tap Dylan out, take the game.
Yep, Ollie's able to even things up. We're going to game 3. I really like the way
enough,
that Dylan navigated that game, except for the Nahiri play. That's where things kind of fell apart. After that, he navigated really well. Cast Torrential Gearhulk just as a 5/6 because that was the game about.
But what we're seeing on Dylan, because this is a matchup he's very comfortable in, is, I mean, we're seeing strengths of both players, right? What Ollie did is Ollie's got a lot of strength on the deck list, and so he's boarded into a plan that Dylan wasn't ready for. And you saw that on turn 4, like, Dylan got crushed by it.
Yes.
And Ollie's like, yeah, I changed my strategy, and he got a huge lead. And where Dylan's strength comes in then is he adapted right then and there. And okay, so yes, he got blown out on turn 4. But if you want to talk about how he played turn 5, 6, 7, 8, Dylan just like changed how he played all his cards. He changed his entire game plan, and he learned really fast. So kind of they're both skills, these players here on display. And it turns out, though, why did Ollie end up getting the game? Well, because his Transform plan is just really good. The second Deep Fiend emerging off Deep Fiend, like, yeah, Dylan was really learning and playing correctly there. But if Ollie just has some Deep Fiends and Negates, like, you get it. And that's what happened.
Elder Deep Fiend is a card we've seen in a couple different decks this weekend, and I expect this card to see a lot of play going forward. It's been very powerful. We've seen it in the proactive Teamer Eldrazi deck and in the sideboard of a couple of these Jeskai Saheeli decks, and it's really powerful. It can both manage your opponent's mana for potential counter wars, obviously setting up the combo, or as we saw there, just apply way too much pressure.
So for Dylan Donegan, a name we haven't seen for a while, he was a competitor in our first Players' Championship back in 2014, winning the last Invitational. Just 19. He played his first Invitational at, I believe, 17 or 16. So a big, really an up-and-comer. From Cary, North Carolina, 3 open top 8s. He has 1 Invitational top 8, and he won. Yeah. Really, I guess for someone of his age, even then was already showing a lot of strength. He's a really good tactical player and continues to impress.
Yeah, very bright individual. See good things in his future.
Yeah, their youngest ever Invitational champion. Get ready for the next game here. On the other side, we do have Ali Aintrazi, his opponent, 29-year-old, also from North Carolina. Much more of a resume here on the tour. 13 open top 8s, 2 wins. He's got multiple Invitational top 8s and a win as well. Of course, mentioned he was a U.S. national champion as well in 2011. And he, according to him, he's the best mixtape creator.
Yeah, personally, I have nothing in the way of that competition, but I also find this fact impossible to be true.
Well, I have a question then. So mixtapes are kind of you don't really, I don't use tapes. Does this mean like, playlist creator now? Like, what does that translate to, right? You don't give people mixtapes anymore.
I suppose if the argument is that Ali is the only person that still owns a cassette player, he could be onto something.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, the title of best mixtape creator gets easier every year.
Right.
I don't have in my house a way to play a cassette tape.
Certainly not a way to create one.
Both players on 7s for the third game. Dylan will be back on the play, and it'll be interesting to see how he adapts. Last game, Ali got far ahead by throwing a curveball to Dylan. He's not going to get that kind of value this time. Dylan, turn 3 on the play, goes for Saheeli Rai into negate mana. Will it resolve is the question.
And we have Saheeli online.
Saheeli does resolve. All right. A big risk there by Dylan, but one that certainly will pay off. There's not a clean answer on Ollie's side to this.
And now that that's on the battlefield, Ollie just can't tap out.
Elder Deep Fiend you see hanging out in Ollie's hand. Last game, it was so important that not only did Ollie have Deep Fiends, but because of Spell Queller still in the deck, he was able to emerge one on turn 4, get it out that early. That was so significant. It ended up being, well, 20 points of damage. He connected 4 hits on the Deep Fiend.
Yeah, and if Ollie could Spell Queller into Deep Fiend, that would be enough to pressure this Saheeli and change the texture of the game.
But right now, players are going to go back to land go. That's the strategy of the first game. That plays into Dylan's deck. And he's got the Saheeli. A lot of things are going his way.
Yeah.
Dylan, turn 5. He's going to lead on Oath of Jace. What's interesting here is he might be baiting a counter spell.
Yeah. You know, right now, Ollie has gotten to the point where he's at Glimmer mana. That's kind of what he wants to do with his mana here. It's possible that Dylan's hand's already just good as well.
What about this? I mean, Dylan didn't play a land either. So it's like, oh, I need this for my land. You know, he's making it look really enticing to counter it. But Ollie, he doesn't bite. In fact, what he does is the opposite. He says, well, oh, you're gonna tap 1 mana. Well, then I'll Glimmer.
Yeah, taking the opportunity to Glimmer. And it's very likely, given the way that Dylan played this turn, that Glimmer is kind of what he wanted Ollie to do. You know, if he's Glimmering, he's not doing anything like Spell Queller into Deep Fiend. He's not countering this with a Jace.
Now Dylan gets the draw 3, discard 2. Remember that Oath of Jace. Dylan, it's a 2 of in Dylan's deck. What it does is it makes his Felidar Guardians much more of a free roll.
Well, he has a Planeswalker on the battlefield as well, so he gets to scry 1 on every upkeep.
Oh, yeah, there's another ability on that card. How about, so he scries 1 twice every turn?
Yeah.
One's off the Saheeli, one's off the Oath.
That's a pretty good conversion.
I'm into this. I have faith that Dylan will use these triggers in a very good way. He seems to know what card he needs all the time.
Right.
I don't always like the 3 mana cards that give you a scry 1 each turn, but when you start getting multiple scry 1s each turn, then I'm pretty excited about it.
Definitely. And Aintrazi was on the draw, and he resolved the Glimmer.
Yeah.
So I believe that puts him in discard territory.
Check cards in hand for Ollie. Yeah, well, yeah, he does. That should. Yeah, you're right. He does have an 8-card hand. We're going to have. The judge will pause the game on that one as it is resolved.
This isn't the first time I played a game like this.
Yeah, you can't divination on the draw.
Yeah.
That's like. So there will be a pause in the game for the judge. We will let you know the resolution of this. And yeah, so we do have the judge call. The infraction here is that Ollie did not discard to hand size after the Glimmer of Genius. So we're gonna go back to the booth as this judge call resolves. We'll let you know the resolution of it.
Yeah, I mean, this is the judge's job. I believe it's just you discard a card now that we realized it, but we'll find out what else happens here.
Well, it depends on things like what the table judge would have to the judges would confer with each other. There could be an appeal on top of that if Ollie has accumulated warnings that might matter. So we will let you know as we know in this situation.
And that's the kind of the thing about Ollie casting Glimmer on that turn. It's card advantage, yes.
Well, that's why it's so much better to let it resolve, because it's not card advantage.
Right, exactly. Once you have to you either have to discard or proactively play a spell when Donegan has a Saheeli on the table.
Great.
Yeah.
That makes a lot. Dylan has no reason to want to fight over that.
Yeah, so that Oath of Jace play, I think that was very good on Donegan's part.
Yeah. So, and one thing, Ryan, we're going to take a look talk a little bit about the metagame breakdown too. If these top tables end up being a lot of Saheeli mirrors, which looks like there's a lot of 4-color of Jeskai Saheeli doing really well, I really like Dylan Donegan in this tournament.
Yes, he's very skilled with these blue decks. He does have to watch out. There's another skilled player playing a similar deck at the top of the standings.
Could be one Kevin Jones.
Kevin Jones. Jim Davis is playing another good blue mirror as well. He's another threat. He has a lot of disruption for the combo.
We are underway with the game. Ollie does have a 7-card hand now. The ruling given by the judge is that now that it was realized, Ollie has to immediately discard. He's also given a warning for, I'm going to quote it wrong, I believe failure to maintain game state. And he has no accumulated warnings yet for that, so that will stay with him for the rest of the tournament. But we continue the game here. So, and it's looking to be a good one for Dylan. You see a Saheeli up to 8.
So this is a kind of an interesting spot. Saheeli's ultimate is not particularly good in the way of 3-mana Planeswalker's ultimates go. It's 3 artifacts with a different name, but with Donegan up at 8, you can go find a Torrential Gearhulk with it, and that's pretty good.
I like getting a Torrential Gearhulk. It's uncounterable. That seems sweet.
Yeah.
He, in his 75, does not have any other artifacts, so it's just a Gearhulk.
Alternatively, yeah, just go get the Gearhulk. Yeah, really no other artifact options.
Challenge players, the next round's pairings are posted.
Ali continuing to do some card filtering here. He's now with Oath of Jace.
And now with Ollie tapping low like this, there's a potential that even without the Gearhulk,
Yeah,
Donegan has what he needs to combo.
3 mana down, meaning Ali only has 4 mana to fight over this. I would assume from Dylan's side that means 2 counter spells from Ali. It's only 2 blue mana sources, so it can't be more than 2. If Dylan has, and this is reasonable, Felidar Guardian negate Dispel, he wins, and he knows it. You can't have more counters than you have blue sources.
Right, and then, yeah, negate and Dispel in the hand.
Does he have Guardian? That would work. Here's Saheeli Rai ultimating to go get a Gearhulk. Dylan just in command. Look at the speed he's going through this. He knows. Torrential Gearhulk into play. You cannot counter that because it's coming into play off the Saheeli Rai.
Gonna cast a Glimmer. That's great.
Glimmer of Genius. Scries 2 cards to the bottom, draws 2 different cards, like another negate and another dispel. So remember we said Dylan's sideboard just a ton of these cards?
Yes.
That's why I like Dylan's plan. And now here's Felidar Guardian. And he has this with 3 counter spells to back it up. He has Dispel, Dispel, Negate, and he can cast all of them. This is
That's gonna be more than enough.
Guardian. Flickers Saheeli Rai. Harness Lightning by Ali. Playing it off of blue mana, this doesn't matter. Dispel, Dispel, doesn't even show him that he has another one. And game and match go to Dylan Donegan with Jeskai Saheeli.
Dylan Donegan very impressively piloted that matchup.
There was a hiccup, okay?
Yes.
He missed, when Ali changed plans,